Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast on Matt. Maybe the best day in America, the 4th of July.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. I got the glasses out. We rocking it. I don't have a red, white, and blue t-shirt. I don't know how, but I apparently don't.
I wanted to get socks and a shirt. Actually, I just bought Pit Vipers that are red, white, and blue, and they're out in the car. I'm gonna be wearing them tonight when I go to the Scrappers. But I love this country. You know, a lot of people. We won't go too politics, but a lot of people complain, "Oh, this is the worst country ever." I'm like, I love this. I love this country. This is my country. You know, and I love being here.
Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, as bad as it is here, sometimes it's still 20 times better than a lot of the other places out there. We got a lot of freedoms that I think we all take for granted sometimes. It's a great country, great to be here. Where else can I wear a big hat, a cutoff T-shirt, and flashing glasses with slots in it in 2022 and talk about sports and get paid for it? I mean, it doesn't get any better, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Also, I figured it was fitting. Get a red, white, and blue Smirnoff Ice out here for the show as well. Yeah, delicious, man, and they were festive. Had to.
Oh yeah. But my internet isn't working, so you're gonna have to. I don't know, run whatever.
Well,
it's finally coming in slow. But if I'm gonna look at standings or something, you might have to look.
Well, hopefully we won't have too much of that. We do have a change up from last week, though. Last week, I at the end of the show Friday, I was running it solo. I gave Meathead of the Week to Matt. We do have a change up on there. Matt, we're going to have, for the first time ever, a reformed Meathead of the Week, but last week. Go for it.
I just have to give it to Freddie Freeman's agent. First of all, Freddie Freeman did fire his agent. He fired him because, he didn't really give him any idea that the Braves had an offer for him. Like, he didn't say, he was pretty much like the Braves. They didn't even offer you anything. They did you dirty. They didn't even offer you anything at all. Come on, go to the Dodgers or whatever. Like, he could have stayed.
Yeah, he could have stayed. And I mean, what a change up that could potentially be right now for the Atlanta Braves. I mean, they put out the offer to the agent. They did everything right. And they and their fan base felt like, Freddie Freeman kind of gave them the finger. He didn't talk to them. He didn't, negotiate. And I think a lot of fans and a lot of the people on the team kind of felt this like, yo, what the hell, man? You've been with us forever, and you're gonna walk like this? I mean, no goodbyes, none of this. Like, what? What is this? And now it's coming out this past week that it's his agent who didn't even tell him. I mean, and not to mention the scandal that comes even more into this that Major League Baseball needs to look into. His former agent, now former, works for multiple Los Angeles Dodgers players and management people. So Major League Baseball has had its first big, probably tampering story in years. And it comes with one of the biggest free agents of this past offseason in Freddie Freeman, and an absolute scandal. I mean, that's what this is. It's a scandal. And I mean, how bad do you think Freddie Freeman feels right now? Because he walked out of Atlanta, thinking the city wanted nothing to do with him. He wins them their first title in, 20 years, and he feels like nobody wants me.
20 years. Yeah.
And now all this comes back around. It's like, oh, I could have walked off into the sunset in Atlanta, and we could have tried for another one. I mean, the only person that benefited from this was the agent and the Dodgers.
Yeah, I wouldn't be so surprised if he requested a trade.
I don't think he will. One, because he's got a big contract. He's on a team that's right now first in the division. If he got signed by the Dodgers and they were absolutely terrible, then I would see it. But they're miles ahead of a lot of teams in baseball right now. They have a pretty good shot of making the playoffs already here in July. And look at his former team; they're doing pretty good too. I mean, their record's only a little bit behind the Dodgers, and perhaps with Freeman, they wouldn't have gotten off to such a slow start like they did, trying to find their new identity. But
at first,
at the same time, the change wasn't bad. It wasn't bad to see Freeman move on there, because at the time we were all kind of saying, what would it be like to have Freddie Freeman somewhere else? And there were a lot of moving pieces here, and we all kind of were at the agreement like, yeah, this could be fun to see. I know you were upset that, and a lot of Atlanta fans were upset that their guy was no longer on the team, and now it comes down to this, and I'm sure it's going to have a lot of people ticked off for quite a while.
It's like if Big Ben left the Steelers, pretty much.
If Big Ben left the Steelers for
the Ravens,
I wouldn't even say that. Yeah, Ravens would be a good one, actually.
Like the Panthers or something.
Right. And then it comes out that the Steelers offered him a massive contract, and he never even saw it. It's just it's one of those things that it makes you sick to think about, because you're like, well, that's just one. Getting past the sports part of this is this dude's life. Life, family, kids, all in Atlanta. They're settled here. They've been here for a while. He's got roots here at this point, and then he doesn't even know he has the chance to stay. Yeah. Absolute meathead, that agent.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a ton of money that separated the two contracts. I think it was like $4 to $6 million.
Yeah.
Which I know sounds like a lot. That's a lot to you and I. But to those athletes, that's what? A new pool house?
Yeah. A new car. Yeah.
Yeah. A new car, maybe a nice vacation.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure
sure Freeman is well off at this point. Yeah. Freddie don't got to worry none about that.
Land. He lives in a vacation spot.
Right now he's in Los Angeles. He is vacationing every day, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have 10 bad days in a row playing for the Dodgers, and your team's still going to be in first place with how much talent they got stacked over there.
Yeah.
But Matt, coming back to 4th of July here around it. We're since we gave out me head of the week from last week, let's just go into our other award this week, Beast of the Week. Nathan's hot dog eating contest today, and yet again the king reigns supreme. Joey Chestnut goes for number 15, and man, it was fun to see earlier.
Was it 14 or 15?
15. He 15 came in with 14, and he won his 15 today. Yet again, going over 60, and he did it with a broken freaking foot. Legend.
All the surgery postponed his training. He's still age 63 of them.
Right.
That's
Dude's been going at it since 2005. He holds the top 10 records for most hot dogs eaten in that 10-minute span. Top 10. No one else is in the top 10. And I didn't see it was on ESPN News, so I didn't get to watch the hot dog eating contest. ESPN3 had a Joey Chestnut camera, so I got to watch this dude just shovel it into his mouth for 10 minutes straight, which my fiance had never seen before. She was quite repulsed watching the hot dog.
All that stuff.
Just dipping the buns in the water and shoving it into the mouth. She was just sitting there like,
the camera guy had to get all the way up on this one guy, and he had like wet bun all over in his beard and just dripping everywhere. I'm like, oh my god.
But hey, at the end of the day, it's one of the most fun competitions to watch. And if that's not America enough for you, the ACL Johnsonville Cornhole Championships are also on ESPN. I believe ESPN2 today.
I'd love to call that.
I know you would love to call cornhole. I don't know what you would call, but maybe we need to have a YSN cornhole tournament broadcasted by Matt and Alec.
Oh, I'd do it.
I'll give you the play-by-play for that one. I'll take color on the cornhole.
Oh yeah.
We'll send Mike Wolfgang down to the individuals for some interviews.
Slid right off the end of the board. Oh, so close from the hole. Was it 2 points or something?
Sure.
I don't know.
I think you might have to figure that part out, Matt. If you're going to broadcast, you need to figure out the point system.
I've done it before. We had to do for one of our classes. We had to do a miscellaneous sport. Some people were doing egg toss and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I want to call cornhole, and they're like, all right. So I came up in front of the whole class. This was our teacher, Lisa Johnson. This was our broadcast performance class, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll do it. It was fun. But yeah, I could do cornhole. I'd love to do dodgeball. I do all the weird.
We're gonna do a big YSN random sports event. We got to get everybody on this now.
Yeah, Yeah,
a
we
big
should.
wacky sports event of just chaos. That's what needs to happen.
See, for cornhole, sometimes like in cornhole tournaments, there's like 8 people playing at a time, so we'd have to have like 4 or 5, like a bunch of people calling it. So unless they do them one at a time.
Sorry, my lights are like flickering here.
Oh, jeez.
It looked like I was gonna lose power there for a second. Like my Christmas lights I got going around just went, oh, I'm off now. I'm like, okay, sounds fun.
No.
There it goes again. All right, well, hopefully I'm around a little bit longer because if my internet goes down, Matt, it shows up to you and your crappy internet. So
Yeah. I mean, I'd be fine streaming, but I just sometimes it's not loading very good here.
Well, let's go into a little bit of NBA news. It's been a quiet weekend. All in all, I mean, there have been talks, a lot of rumors getting flown around about what might happen. But as of now, we only, I believe, had one signing over the entire weekend. It came about 24 hours ago. I think it was noon yesterday. Goran Dragic signed with the Chicago Bulls on a 1-year contract.
Wow.
Yeah, he got flown around a bunch last season, played for 3 different teams after being released from Miami after the 2021 season.
Yeah.
I don't know
for a while.
I don't know who the one. Oh, in total, yeah, he played for 2 different teams. Pardon me. Started out with Toronto to start out the season, had about 9 points a game, then got traded over to Brooklyn, 7.3 points per game there, and no reunion back to Miami. Maybe the big sad thing because he rocked it there in Miami from 2014 all the way until 2021. And it felt like he was there for a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
But he actually started out in Phoenix for a while.
Wow. He was in Phoenix for a while, yeah.
Yes, right? He started out in Phoenix 2008. He ended up getting moved to Houston during the 2010-2011 season, but after the 11-12 season, his contract expired. He went back to Phoenix for 3 more years, and yet again got traded away.
That's kind of like
Phoenix went, yeah, we'll take you back. Oh, to like throw you away, garbage.
That's kind of like what happened with Ricky Rubio.
Pretty much. We'll see if the Cavs go and trade him again at the deadline.
I hope not.
But no, Goran Dragic, pardon me, is really the only news we had again over the weekend. Obviously, Joey Chestnut will win the title today. And apparently during the before the contest, there was also some problems at the hot dog stage.
Yeah, who did it have to do with? Because Matt Stoney usually competes every year, and he wasn't in it.
Yeah, no, I saw that too. I was waiting to hear Matt Stoney's name get called, and I don't know why he wasn't competing. But
yeah, because that's the only guy that really gives Chestnut any competition. He beat him in 2015.
Yeah, he's really, I think, one of 2 guys that have beaten him in the hot dog eating contest over the last 17 years.
There was that guy when he first started out, that dude from Japan or something.
Mm-hmm. They said his name during the broadcast, and now it's gone. You started talking about
There's another thing I do. Those guys calling the hot dog thing, I'd love to do that too.
The YSN hot dog eating contest are also in the books, Matt?
They don't even call it. They're just up there talking about, like, they were talking about, the one guy was talking about his lifehood or like what he did when he was a kid. I'm like, well, I can do this.
Yeah, no, there was not much broadcasting being done about, actually eating. He was just talking. Guy. But how about the PA announcer that got things started out?
MC. Yeah.
That guy was, he was having some fun with that.
Do you think any of that is scripted? Do you think he comes up with all that stuff he says?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure, the guy is like, hey, this is my stuff, make something. And he goes, all right, I got you.
Yeah. Man.
But, other than that, sports news has been pretty quiet. I mean, baseball's chugging along. Standings haven't changed much since last week. Boston did take 2nd place in the AL East currently. They are a half game ahead of the Toronto Blue Jays, who have now lost 3 straight. So that's really the big change up from the weekend. AL Central remains, I think, as it was when we last left off last week. Minnesota starting to pull away from the Central a little bit, Matt, here. Cleveland slumping a little bit. Chicago's gotten 3 straight games. They're starting to close back into Cleveland, but it feels like Minnesota's got a pretty good lock on the Central.
I mean, we've been battling with them, and we just played the Yankees. I was happy we took 1 out of 3 from that.
And one of them was a doubleheader as well, so those are always hard to deal with.
So we're losing right now. It's 2-0 to Detroit. I think it's still on out there, but
we got a good series to go into though against Detroit.
Yeah, so we have a nice little easier schedule. I'm not saying easier, but less competitive. Like we're not playing the Yankees. The sweep against Boston hurt us pretty bad too. Then we came in and had that 4-game series. Well, pretty much 5. They played 5 games against Minnesota because they had to make up a game. So I think they took 3 out of 5 from that. But we're still 2 games back. We're fighting.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny though because Minnesota. You look at just records right now, and you're like, oh, Minnesota got 45 wins and Cleveland's got 40. But thanks to those head-to-heads, man, Cleveland's still right in the race.
Yeah, we're right here.
I mean, they picked up the important wins, and in baseball, sometimes you don't necessarily have to have the best record. You just have to beat the right teams, and that's what we've seen from Cleveland right now. They've been doing things the right way. Over in the AL West, we do have a little bit of a change up thanks to a good weekend. Seattle has overtaken Texas for second place now in the AL West. So Mariners look like they might be coming up a little bit in that, but they got San Diego coming up. Texas going against Baltimore. We'll see how those 2 series go out. Houston's going to stay in first. They got Kansas City.
They're going to stay in first for a while.
I think this division, there's already 13 and a half teams ahead. We got, what, 2 months left of regular baseball? 3? 3 months?
Okay. All of July, all of August, all of September.
3 months, okay.
Look at the
I forgot about September.
They took a nosedive. Everybody's so excited. Oh, this Angels team, look at them. They're going to do it. Look at them. They're only in front of Oakland. You shouldn't even be called a baseball team right now.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about biggest disappointment of the year? Los Angeles Angels. Especially
Mike Trout.
They were number 1 in their division for a couple of weeks there. It looked like, the 2 LA teams and the 2 New York teams were going to run baseball.
Ahead, too. Then they lost, 13, 14 in a row.
It might have been more than that.
Might have been.
Yeah. Over in the NL East, though, no change-ups really at all. I mean, Atlanta's closing in a little bit. Miami's starting to heat up. They've pulled away now from Washington, but standings remain the same as they did last week. And I don't really foresee them changing. Everyone's got a pretty good gap, so we need a pretty big week out of this division to see any change-ups.
Atlanta seems to always be that 3-game, 4-game back area. They're 3.5 back now. They're sitting pretty right now. I'd love to be this team right now. They're, like we said just a little bit earlier, it took a little while for them to find the rhythm back again. Look what happened. I mean, Ozuna was out for a year because he was suspended, and then Acuna Jr. was out for a year, and these guys are back, and they needed it. I mean, they didn't play for a year, pretty much, so they needed to find their baseball rhythm back. Now they got it. They're rolling. Matt Olson's sinking in very well. I like what he's been doing, chemistry-wise at least. So look out. Phillies are hanging around in there. That team's a disappointment too.
Yeah, they have been definitely that, but we actually did have some history made a little bit earlier in this Detroit baseball game, Cleveland versus Detroit. 2-run single in the bottom of the first inning for Miguel Cabrera. He tied Manny Ramirez with 1,831 RBIs for 18th on the all-time RBI list. That was also his 3,060th hit, which tied him with Craig Biggio for 25th all-time in Major League Baseball history.
Wow.
Miguel Cabrera, man, that dude's been around for a while at this point.
I used to hate him. Couldn't stand him at one point. I like him now. He's one of the OGs, man.
at this point, you don't get any more OG in baseball than that.
No. Heck no. I mean Pujols too. There's another one.
How long has Cabrera been around? He's 39 years old now.
2000. He didn't even start out with Detroit. He started out with what, the Marlins?
Yeah, Marlins in 03.
Unbelievable.
And you look at his numbers; they have been spectacular. He has only ever had one season that he's hit under 250, and it was 249.
Oh boy. Oh god.
Right? You're just like, I missed that one hit at the end of the season, and it tanked my numbers down just that much. I mean, he's had a home run in every season. He's had double-digit home runs in all but 2 seasons. One of them is this year, which still has a long way to go, and the other one was 2018, where he only played 38 games. I think you look at his overall right now, good shot at the Hall of Fame. I think he's got quite the numbers to do it. 11-time All-Star, 2-time MVP, Triple Crown in 2012, World Series, 7 Silver Sluggers, 2 Hank Aaron Awards, 4-time batting champ, 2-time home run leader, 2-time RBI leader for this season. I mean, he has been phenomenal over his career. So congrats out there to Miguel Cabrera on his record-setting day.
And I've seen him multiple times, my dad and I always go to Cleveland and go see Detroit. I might be going again to see Detroit play Cleveland. So to see him this year would be something special. To see Miguel Cabrera in this particular season, because he's breaking all these records. So I'd love to go out and see him play again, because the years are numbered. So. But,
yeah, definitely. And back here in the baseball, NL Central, no change-ups, everything staying the same. Got a close race for third there and a close race for first between Milwaukee and St. Louis. But Milwaukee, they seem to just continue to go forward. I mean, they're keeping just right above 500. And, Matt, they look like a really steady team. And I think that's something in baseball. If you want to be the number one team and you want to continue to dominate your division, it's just about keeping the same mentality. You don't need to have these massive spikes and drops. You don't need 20-game win streaks. That's not how you win World Series. Well, you could if you do it during the playoffs, but that doesn't happen. You don't need these massive streaks or anything. You just need steady, consistent baseball. Win your series, win 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 games, split a couple others, and you're going to find yourself in first place. And that's what Milwaukee has done. Very patient. Now they got Chicago coming up, a series they should be able to take home and win. And they look like, really quietly, one of the best teams in the National League. I mean, that's saying something, because Houston's a 50-win team. The Mets are on the edge of a 50 wins. Atlanta has 46. The Dodgers have 49. San Diego has 47. You look at this little 46-win team. But the one thing that just always stands out for me in Milwaukee is they always show up. And those other teams, they have big runs. And they get a lot of wins all at once. And they'll have, 2 weeks where they go 4-6 or 3-7. Milwaukee, they always seem so steady in their approach. It's very methodical and consistent with them. And I think that's why they've seen a decent amount of success going into the postseason. Obviously, injuries have hurt their chances of winning the whole thing in a lot of situations, but I really like this Milwaukee team right now.
I do too. I like every team in that division. Besides the Mets.
Okay.
I'm just throwing that out there. But you got some competitive teams in there. I mean, the only one you can really only count out is Washington. The Marlins, yeah, they're a rebuild type of team. I like the direction where they're going in. I'm going to be I did some research because I'm going to one of their games next week because I'll be in Florida. They're actually playing Pittsburgh. So that'll be something to see. But I like Chisholm, Jazz or Chaz? Jazz Chisholm, I think.
I think it's Jazz.
I think it's Jazz. He's a heck of a player. So we'll just have to see. That one year, a couple years ago, they had that extra playoff spot, and the Marlins made it. You remember that? When was that? That was like 2020. Was that 2020?
No. Would have been 19, I think.
19, 20.
Well, when the Marlins made the playoff?
Yeah. They made that fruit. They got beat.
Oh, no, it was 2020. You're right.
It was 2020. Yeah.
Why do I ever question you on this?
I just know.
That's the one thing. For whatever reason, stupid dates like that.
I know. I just know.
You're like, I know it was around this time. I can give you probably a 2-3 year stretch where I know it was in there, but you're right on it. You give this guy any movie ever, and he'll give you that date too.
I'll give you a year.
It's freaky. I don't like it sometimes.
I just know a lot of useless information.
Hey, but it worked. You pulled it out for something here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, clearly wasn't useless today.
I was questioning my girlfriend wants to know sports, so I was questioning her like, okay, who won the World Series in 1984? She's like, do you know? Do you even know? Oh man.
I mean, I feel like a safe guess would be New York or Boston, but I don't think they
about them. We were just talking about them.
Really?
Yeah.
We also did just mention every single team in baseball, so.
I know, but we were just talking about. I mean, it was Detroit.
Detroit? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Alan
Trammell. I was going to go. I was just going to throw a wild card out there and go like Baltimore.
Alan Trammell.
They might have been good 40 years ago.
Yeah, Alan Trammell, he was a shortstop, I believe, was MVP.
There you go again. All right, Matt. Last half an hour on the show today, with not much going in on sports new stuff. I figured we're going to take a look ahead into the future here.
I do got a couple things to mention. Scrappers, who did we play tonight? We actually play State College tonight. So if anybody's watching and you want to come out and they got free fireworks show, tickets are cheap. I don't know if they sold out or not, but it should be.
If it is sold out, though, you can watch it on YSNlive.com.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, man, our man Richie, he's doing pretty good. And, Anthony Romo's up there with him, too. He calls a great game. I've been up there a couple of times. The guy knows. Like, you should see, Alec, like, the whole table, he has things taped. Like, he finds stuff to fit into the game or whatever. I don't think there's a moment of silence. Like, and he's by himself. Like, this. And he's like, oh, I just want to keep doing this for a while. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Looking ahead here, Matt, I want to look at the NFL because we're only.
How about the USFL, baby?
Forget it. Who cares? Who cares? USFL was a dud.
Actually,
after the failures of the last two leagues, it completely tanked it to start.
I was actually asked to go to the game yesterday. I turned it down, but I mean, it was like $16 to get in the USFL championship. The Birmingham Stallions won, by the way. They beat the Philadelphia Stars 33-30. The one guy, I did watch a little bit of highlights. The one dude might get picked up by an NFL team. What was his name? I don't know. Here it is. Marlon Williams, former UCF wide receiver. I mean, he basically helped them win it. So we might see some sign. I mean, this is why this league was created. So NFL teams.
It's a minor league system, yeah.
Yeah. So.
We'll see. Well, how about we talk a little bit about this upcoming NFL season here?
Yeah.
Is what I was trying to get into. We got a lot of things on the table. A couple records that and milestones that I'm gonna point out here in a second. But I want to get our thoughts first and foremost on the AFC East because I think you look at it and it's a really interesting division outside of the Jets. Miami and New England and Buffalo all had a winning season. They were within 2 games of one another and 2 teams, obviously made it into the playoffs in New England and Buffalo. And now you bring in great teams back on both sides. A couple of acquisitions here. I like AFC. I mean, I love what Buffalo did. They got Tavon Austin in there, former West Virginia football player. Got Jamison Crowder, Duke Johnson as the running back. Brought back Stephon Diggs with a lower contract cap for this season. O.J. Howard. They got a lot of help onto the offensive line, re-signing guys.
Not to mention we have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Woo!
And hey, how about this? They brought in Super Bowl winning linebacker Von Miller.
Oh yeah.
In maybe one of the biggest moves of this offseason. You look at this Buffalo Bills revamped squad added on to what they already had last year. And I think you do kind of just have to take a step aside and go, oh, crap, this is going to be a team, man. They were good last year, but this could really be that season that we really take notice of what this team can be.
I love Gabriel Davis. He'll be coming back too. This dude was awesome. I mean, even though we lost in that game against the Chiefs, I think he had that last touchdown when there was just 13 seconds left, and I was jumping up and down. And I'm like, wait a minute, here comes Mahomes. but now how is that going to work out? Because we mentioned the Dolphins there. I mean, here comes Tua now. Tua's got a sling of an arm, and now you put Tyreek Hill with him, and of course you already have Jalen Waddle. So
yeah, and we'll get all down to that here in a little bit, talking about the Dolphins. I'm keeping it more on Buffalo, and I think the biggest thing to me, we talk about best defensive teams in football. Steelers are in that conversation, although I think after last year they shouldn't be. They have great guys, and TJ Watt, no doubt, Defensive Player of the Year, was phenomenal. And they have really great individuals. Really, that team as a unit, they sucked defensively last year.
Yep.
Everyone talks about how great the Steelers were defensively. They were a load of garbage.
The year before, though? Woo!
Year before, if they returned to, 2020 football season defense, then we're talking a whole new level of dominance. If they get back there, then Steelers have a great shot to win the division on defense alone.
Yep. I know we got blown out, but like that first defensive stand against the Chiefs, I mean, TJ Watt came through and stripped Mahomes and scored a touchdown. Like, a lot of people forget that, but
yeah. But my point bringing up this defense here is Buffalo had maybe the best defense in all of football last year.
And then you add Von Miller.
They have the best linebacker, one of the top 4 linebacker duos in Thomas and Davis, and now they bring in another one in Von Miller to put together probably the best linebacker core in the country, and they're looking to re-sign Jordan Poyer as well.
That's sick. And Tre'Davious White, I believe. Tre'Davious White is probably one of the best corners in this game right now. He's up there.
They got an absolutely amazing defense right now. In Buffalo, Matt, they look strong to take the division yet again. But we're gonna get to that. We're actually gonna make some way too early picks for the NFL season here on the show today. So we'll talk about each of the teams, then we'll go into our picks here, Matt. Just so you know how we're gonna go. Number 2 team last year, New England Patriots. Can Mac Jones stay as great as he was last year? And
I hope so. Too. Yes, I think he can. I think he's gonna get better. Honestly, if you had a streaky wide receiver, kind of like a Randy Moss to Brady, or
Matt, they brought in Devontae Parker from Miami and little Jordan Humphrey, who signed on a 1-year deal. So they got him some help. They brought in running back Ty Montgomery. They re-signed James White to a tiny deal as well. They got him his offensive line re-signed. Plus, they brought in Darrell Williams. Then they loaded up defensively, brought in Mack Wilson from the Browns, Jawan Bentley, who re-signed with the team. Brought in Malcolm Butler and Terrence Mitchell, Jabril Peppers and Devin McCourty into the secondary, and they also re-signed their kicker, Nick Folk. They got a lot of pieces this season, and quietly, too. They didn't make noise while doing it, which is Bill Belichick's way.
They sure did. But a lot of teams have made some defensive moves, too, even Pittsburgh. So, and obviously Buffalo. But, I mean, I love defense, so...
defense still wins championships. And I mean, you look at these two defenses last year, New England Patriots only allowed 303 points in the entire season, which was second next to the Buffalo Bills, who allowed 289. And, there's a lot of other stats you can look at for defense. But at the end of the day, what matters more than points? Points allowed. Because to me, points allowed, points for and points allowed, paint your picture. What have you done? Have you outscored opponents this season? And you look, every sport since we started really tracking this differential, teams who outscore their opponents by more tend to be in first. And that was the same case last year in the NFL. It's going to be the same case this year in the NFL as well. You can count on that. And this Patriots team, I think they're in to make some noise because they're a really good team. The only problem, Matt, is, as you were just about to talk about a little bit ago, this revamped Miami Dolphins. Not only do they have two up and coming, now they sign in Teddy Bridgewater as his backup just in case something happens to him. They bring in Tyreek Hill, Alec Ingold as a fullback, signed Raheem Mostert, Sony Michel, and Chase Edmonds for their running back room. Trent Sherfield, Preston Williams, Cedric Wilson, all brought back into the wide receiver room with Mike Gesicki, who got franchise tag, Durham Smith, who re-signed with the team. They bring in two great offensive linemen in Taron Armstead and Connor Williams. On the defensive side, they re-signed Emmanuel Agba, re-signed John Jenkins, bring back three linebackers in Duke Riley, Landon Roberts, and Brendan Scarlett. And they also sign in Melvin Ingram while bringing in Xavier Howard to a new 5-year, $90 million contract. This is a really good Miami Dolphin team, Matt.
Sure is.
Offense alone is going to make some noise. So long as Tua stays healthy.
Yeah, this division battle is going to be tough. I still think it's going to lean towards Buffalo. Buffalo is, they're hunting for that Super Bowl. Allen wants that Super Bowl. I think that makes them even more dangerous, especially because of the past 2 years, what they've lost to Mahomes back-to-back years. In disappointing fashion, too.
Yeah.
So they have that, what's that called? They have that edge, or they have that chip on their shoulder that they need to get rid of. They're pissed.
They have that edge, but, we'll get into this more when we go to make our picks here.
And they need to sign Von Miller, too. So
we'll get to that edge here in a moment when we make our official picks. But I think you look overall at this division, and as much as we talk about the AFC North might be the most competitive, this AFC East is closing in very quickly. If New York can find any way to become a good football team or even half a football team the next season, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch. And
I love their draft.
The big thing for me, though, with Miami, they have to find a way to stay healthy. Because I feel like this is a team every year. They start off decent, and then injury, and then something here comes out. They had 9 wins last year, and it still felt lackluster. They were great at home, bad on the road. That comes with a young quarterback. I need Tua to be better on the road this year, which is going to be hard to do because he's a Southern quarterback, and he's playing in the AFC East, has to go up into the New England region, has to go out there and take on, teams out in the AFC North and the AFC West. And I think Tua struggles sometimes to adjust to the weather out there. But I still think at the moment, Miami might be the dark horse out of these three to take the division this year. But good chance for me, this division is going to run down the same way, but I'll get into that more in a moment. Matt, for the Jets, we talked a little bit about that NFL draft class that they brought in. They made some really good picks. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, I really one second. I really liked all the picks they got. They brought in
Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson's going to be sweet for Zach Wilson. The Wilson.
Wilson to Wilson, yeah. They also brought in Ohio State tight end Jeremy Ruckert, Iowa State running back
really like
Jermaine Johnson Jr., I believe, out of Florida State, Max Mitchell in the offensive line, and Michael Clemens.
Yeah, and, they got Mekhi Becton back on defense, too. He's a pretty big centerpiece there. And look at this USFL. They could pick guys from there. They could – I'm sure they were scouting teams like the Jets or even the Lions. Teams that really aren't going to attract huge stars, they're going to go to this USFL and be like, all right, this guy can maybe give it a shot. So it's like having another draft, honestly.
And, Matt, maybe the most important thing in this entire offseason, the New York Jets brought back Mike White. He's still on the team. They brought him back. They got Joe Flacco and Mike White as their backup quarterbacks.
Joe Flacco. Hey, dude, back in the day, man, Flacco was a slinger. You know, he could sling that ball down the field.
He still was good up until the moment that Baltimore just went, all right, we're getting a running back.
Goodbye. So,
which was kind of, I think at that moment too, I think everyone was still a little stunned the fact that Baltimore just went away from their Hall of Fame quarterback. I mean, because
he is a Hall of Fame quarterback,
right? And I think Joe Flacco is going to get to a point where people aren't going to remember just how great he really was. I mean, you look at what he did.
Won the Super Bowl.
Dominated the division. Yeah, they got a Super Bowl out of it. I mean, go back to, I'd be like the Steelers just saying to Big Ben, yeah, you're done. We brought in somebody new. When he probably still had a good 5 years left in the tank. Maybe not as an all-star level, but at that chance where you're like, hey, we're going to let our quarterback finish things off because that's the right thing to do. They went, no, we got in somebody else who's going to win us an MVP.
That's just dumb.
It's just one of those things you're like, man, what a crazy turn of events. But, they also made a lot of good offseason moves. They re-signed Tevin Coleman, re-signed Braxton Berrios, brought in Tyler Conklin and CJ Uzama, which I love. They revamped the offensive line a little bit, brought back some guys. The big one they brought in was Lincoln Tomlinson, a 3-year, $40 million deal. Defensively, I still think there's a lot of room to improve. They didn't make a ton of moves, bringing guys in. And you look at this team last year, they allowed 504 points against.
They drafted Kayvon Thibodeau too, didn't they?
I don't think so.
No, he didn't. No, I don't think so. Who picked Thibodeau?
Giants, the other New York team.
Close.
There you go. I was like, no, it's not, because I was just reading off their list. But no, this Jets team, they need help defensively, man. And I know Sauce Gardner will be a good one to put back in the secondary. But 504 points against last year was the worst in the NFL. And it wasn't even close. The second worst.
How many games did they win?
The Jets, they won 4. They went 4-13, which was the second worst in the league, just ahead of Jacksonville, who also had the second worst defense belonged to the Chargers, who allowed 459. That is the closest anybody got to being as bad defensively as the Jets. Was 459 compared to Jets 504. This team's problem, yes, offensively they have issues, but the biggest problem for this team is not Zach Wilson. It is not their offensive line. It is not their lack of ability to run the football. It is the fact that they do not have a defense to save their rear end.
They need that.
Yeah. And I know a lot of that is the offense couldn't move, so the defense got handed bad field position, and it gave them bad situations. But if that defense is better, then they do the same thing, and they force the opponent's offense to get backed up, and it becomes a field position battle. 500 points allowed should never happen in football. That is terrible defense. You go back to 2020, they only allowed 457, and that was one of the higher marks. Jacksonville was actually the worst in the season prior with 492 when they won just one game. 2019 season, worst team was the Dolphins, I believe, at 494. But I'm going back here, and you're still finding this common number. No one's at 500 points against. They're putting up high 400s, getting right up there. But Jets are the only team in the last 5 years to allow over 500 points against. That is their one problem. To me right now, if you fix that, the rest will come.
Yeah.
The rest will come for this Jets team if they fix the defense. Because
we're done talking about the Jets.
What?
We're done talking about the Jets.
Fine, yeah, we're done talking about the Jets. But let's go ahead then and talk rundown of this division. I think we're both kind of in the same boat. It feels like it's the Bills division. That seems like the smart pick.
I think the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. Like, I love them. Like, yeah, it's a little biased there, but like, I'm not insane when I say that. They've been there the past couple of years. They've been so close. And I think their defense has gotten a little better. They're bringing back that, AJ Epinenza, tough guy from Iowa. Greg Rousseau from Miami, he was great too. And Ed Oliver has been really good too. And now you add Von Miller, and we talked about I like Tremaine Edmonds too. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Good.
So, Matt, your number one team you've given down as the Bills. My number two team, I think I'm going to surprise people. One, because I've stated a lot how much I don't like Tua and how much I like the Patriots and the way that the direction they're going. I got Miami as the number two team this year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
what are you going to go number two in this division?
I'm going to go New England. I like Mac Jones there.
I do too, but I don't know. There's something about this season that's coming up, and I just feel like it's a make or break year for Miami.
Once again, though, you said it before that we were calling this the way too early picks. So, I mean, it's okay to be wrong.
It's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to be bold. I think is the two big things. So with that, Matt, I imagine you're not having the Jets go over Miami. My three team is the Patriots. Yours is going to be Miami, with us both agreeing the worst team in the East this year is going to be the Jets. I guess my one question for you, do you think the Jets are going to be the worst team in all of football this year? No. Okay.
I think they'll win. I'm going to go bold. I think they can get 7 wins. I think they can. I think
that'll put a big wrench into the AFC East if that happens.
Yeah.
Because those 9 wins, they got to come from somewhere, and the likelihood is probably one against the Dolphins.
I said 7.
Maybe one against or 7, yeah. One against the Patriots or Bills, and then they get another bottom feeder somewhere along the way. Yeah. 7 wins. Those extra 3 wins next year could change some things up, though.
Yeah, it could.
But over the door, who will be the worst team in football next year?
Jacksonville.
I was going to go Houston.
Probably Houston.
They ain't got a darn thing down in Houston.
I tell you what, I like their quarterback.
I'll give you the quarterback.
And
but he ain't got a thing around it.
You know what's really sad? I forget his name.
Isn't Davis Mills?
Yes, Davis Mills. Yep. They made one smart move. I mean, they fired what's his name? See, I forget his name. I don't even want to remember it. Don't even tell me. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh yes.
No, I don't. Don't think. Don't even try to think.
Use you guys as a stepping stone.
Yeah. He said he was going to be long term, and then left after a year.
Bill O'Brien.
They became the GM and the head coach.
Which is still one of the dumbest moves in football. You take a terrible team and you go, you know what? We've had no success with anything. Just give it all to Billy O'Brien.
The guy traded away one of the best wide receivers in this league, Hopkins, for old man, David Johnson. I will never let that go. Ever.
He was, a 28-year-old running back at the time?
I think he was 30.
He might have been 30. I'm still not sure what happened there. How that happened.
He's a centerpiece of a team.
Yeah. That's for sure there, Matt. But how about we flip over into the other side of the East? The NFC East feels like a shoo-in that the Cowboys are going to have a good season. They always do. The only thing is they're choke artists, and we've seen that every single year. They go 12-5, and then they choke it. If Mike was here, he would just tell you, forget about the Cowboys. Nobody cares if he was on the show, and that's his own team. They re-signed Michael Gallup. They brought in James Washington, though, from Pittsburgh.
I like that.
They re-signed Jeremy Springle, gave the franchise tag to Dalton Schultz, and that's all they did on offense, which kind of scares me for this team because – their offensive line, while good, is aging. And I think we've seen it the last couple of years. The offensive line can't open the holes they used to for their running game. They have still a good running game, but it's not as good as I think it could be. And I think that's one of the biggest problems for this Cowboys squad is that lack of offense. They brought back DeMarcus Lawrence, Carlos Watkins, Dante Fowler, Leighton Vander Esch, Malik Hooker, who else? Jaron Kearse and Jake McQuaid. So they got a couple of things in there, a lot of re-signs for the Dallas Cowboys.
And they're going to be bringing back
last year.
They're going to be bringing back Diggs too.
Yeah, obviously Diggs. Yeah. Their young guy is probably the bigger story than who they re-signed.
Their defense is pretty good. Leighton Vander Esch is amazing. He's a great player, but he has trouble staying healthy.
As does a lot of these Cowboys players. I think that's one of the biggest things. But you look at this defense last year, actually, Matt, since you point that out, they were the third best in the NFC, I believe, when you talk about points allowed. They only allowed 358. Teams ahead of them in that stat were Tampa, New Orleans, and that's it. So really great year defensively for the Cowboys. They put up 530 points offensively, which was number one in all of the NFL. So a really great year overall. And yet again, they choke in the playoffs, and they're pretty much bringing back the exact same team.
Yep.
With maybe a couple, new advances on the offensive side, which is a pretty good thing. So with that, I really like Dallas this year. But the number 2 team in this league, and I think it's a team you still got to watch out for. They've been making some moves, making some nice motions. Yeah, the Eagles. I really like this Eagles team. I gave it out last year. I loved what they were bringing it in. I was riding them all season long. There were a couple doubters at the beginning of the year, even on here on the show. You and Mike were kind of wary about what they were, and I went, no. Jalen Hurts and this Eagles squad is going to be the real deal this year, and they were. They went 9-8. They had a slump there for a minute, and that hurt them. They were really bad at home. This entire conference, this entire division was bad at home. We'll give that out. And yet again, they're playing in a rundown division. Dallas is the only other good team. I hate New York, and Washington, as much as I love them, have nothing to offer for me. They're bringing in Carson Wentz. It's nice to see him back in the division, mainly because he becomes, win fodder for the Cowboys and the Eagles. I still like this team, and especially they brought in A.J. Brown. I mean, it's still one of the biggest things out
there. Dumb move by
got a new offensive lineman in Jason Kelsey. They revamped the defense as well, bringing back Fletcher Cox and getting a bunch of new deals onto guys like James Bradbury, Derek Barnett, and Anthony Harris. So they made some good moves in this offseason, and I like what Philly's bringing to the table.
Me too. And I don't lose hope in Jalen Reagor. I hope Jalen Reagor comes around. Like, it's been a disappointment. So, I mean, I think that's why they brought in A.J. Brown. So, it should be fun to watch.
I mean, he looks to be that next. They went, all right, this doesn't work with what we got now. Yeah. Let's make a change up, and they did.
Like the draft picks that the Giants did. So, maybe they can be a little better. Saquon, man, this is make or break it.
That's for damn sure. We'll go there now to the Giants. It's a make or break season, as you were just saying, for him. I think same for Danny Dimes.
If he has a suck season again, he's a bust. I will always call him a bust.
I threw it in there last year, and Matt, I think it means more coming from you because he's your Penn State guy.
Yeah,
and you're ready
Mike
to flip
tries to throw the injury thing, like guys were injured on bust. And I'm like, wait. Like, even when he's healthy, he hasn't been doing anything. Okay, I know it's the Giants and their offensive line is bad, but still, the Raiders, Bo Jackson with the Raiders, they had a bad offensive line. Look what he did. So,
and Matt, no matter what happens with Saquon, you got to remember Daniel Jones is still their quarterback, so you're not going to win more than 5 games.
Yeah, that was a horrible. That was horrible.
They had no offense last year, and their defense wasn't much. It was good. It was a decent defense, but not much better.
They made the wrong pick there, picking him. In my opinion, they should have picked Dwayne Haskins. Rest in peace. They should have picked Dwayne Haskins. And look, I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, he stinks." Look where he was picked. Okay, Washington sucked. They still do. So, I mean, there you go. And I think he was really going to get a real shot with Pittsburgh. I think he was going to get – I mean, he was coming back. So,
yeah, it looked like he was on his up and up. It looked like he could potentially, take over as the backup at least for this team, especially before they brought in Trubisky. But that's the conversation for another day here.
Yeah.
Looking at this division, Matt, got a couple minutes left on the show.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give a quick rundown of what Washington's done outside of the draft. Gave new deals to McKissick and McLaurin, they re-signed Cam Sims. The big move, obviously, is Carson Wentz. And outside of that, they have done pretty much nothing. They brought in F.A. Obata from free agency.
Who did
but
they pick?
I don't have their picks up. Let me double check.
Wasn't Chris Olave was Saints. Okay.
They picked Jahan Dotson.
There we go.
Darian Mathis, Brian Robinson, Percy Butler, Sam Howell, Cole Turner, Chris Paul from the Phoenix Suns, and Christian Holmes.
Dear God.
Chris Paul. No, it's the guard taken in the 7th round. Guard Chris Paul was drafted to the Commanders.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
Dotson and McLaurin will be sweet.
That's going to be a lot of speed, man. Good luck, DBs. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And, we're gonna put. I think maybe the most exciting thing, you're gonna see Sauce Gardner against one of those two guys. Oh yeah, that's what I want. And you get to see him go up against the likes of CD Lamb and others on the Cowboys. All the speed from the Eagles, even a couple wide receivers on the Giants, and wherever else they end up going this year. From that, we got like 2.5 minutes left on the show. Let's give our rundown. Number one team, I feel like it's a formality because they normally are and they normally choke it anyway, but it's the Cowboys.
Cowboys.
So we both go to Dallas to start.
Minutes.
Number 2.
Do you want to say like the division talk for the rest for tomorrow? We can pick like a dark horse for Super Bowl.
Yeah, that works. We got a whole week of stuff to fill, and there's only baseball on, so we got plenty to go down here this next week. Number 2 in the division, Matt. I'm still going Philly. I'm still saying high on the Eagles train. Are you going Philly, or you think maybe switch up with the Commanders? Nope.
I'll go Philly.
And then I guess final 2 spots to decide here: Commanders, Giants. Who's coming third? Who's coming fourth?
Commanders.
You got Washington. I think I'm right there with you because I like the picks they made more, and I feel like New York has been steady crap. They're fine. They're complacent with crap. And when you're complacent with crap, you're not going uphill because crap only rolls downhill. And that's the way they've been going for a while. So, Matt, we're going to run the exact same way here in the division. And I don't have much hope for New York this year outside of Buffalo.
Yeah.
Who might as well be Pennsylvania or Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think if you go right up to the border, I'm pretty sure Ohio is closer to Buffalo than Buffalo is to New York City. If you go right up to the top corner of the border,
I think so.
You drive right along, right up to the coast along the lake.
I think
and it's like 2.5, 3 hour drive, and I think it's like 5 or 6 from Buffalo to New York City.
I think so, yeah. Maybe.
Well,
but my dark horse for Super Bowl here, Denver Broncos, baby.
Well, we'll get to that more tomorrow. We're out of time here on the Casual Sports Podcast. Come hear about the Broncos and more teams. Tomorrow, I've been out running. That's Matt Morrison. This is the only show on today. So you got to watch the Scrappers tonight if you want more Your Sports Network's coverage. That does it from us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a happy Independence Day, USA.